Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's Damon yet again, and this time I can't believe I'm already at rebooking WrestleMania 20 tonight. One more WrestleMania, actually, I would have officially hit the halfway point to the series. And first off, I thought it'd be a good idea to already start right there from the get-go. Start with the Hall of Fame. I mean, I remember WrestleMania 20. Who were the Hall of Famers? Top Hall of Famer. You had Sergeant Slaughter. You had Superstar Billy Graham, Bobby Heenan, Pete Rose, Tito Santana, Don Morocco, Harley Race, Junkyard Dog, Big John Studd. Uh, who else I forgot? Greg Valentine, and I think it was somebody else. And I no problem with that list. But you're going back to Madison Square Garden. Maybe Hogan wouldn't be involved in this one. Honestly, I think I like the fact that WrestleMania should have a 20 basically something a leak of what happened 20 years earlier. And Hogan started basically Hulkamania and WWE started like in '84. You could have basically said 20 years later and inducted, but you could add the year later because he headlined his first WrestleMania. So to me, people will be headlining WrestleMania, sorry, the Hall of Fame of WrestleMania 20 would have been involved in WWE like in 1984. So Tito will be there. Sergeant Slaughter was still involved. Jesse Ventura was involved. Bobby Heenan. You got Pete Rose if you want to, celebrate Hall of Fame. Don Morocco. Harley Race as well. In fact, keep all of them. But I felt like, who else was very prevalent during that time? Who else? And somebody maybe was a WrestleMania 1 that should have been that, you know, was not inducted yet. About Adrian Adonis. Well, he wasn't a WrestleMania 1, but he should have been there. Should have been involved. Should have been in the Hall of Fame. Or how about who else at WrestleMania 1? Because I'm looking at the list of people who have been at WrestleMania 1, who have not been inducted in the Hall of Fame. How about Leilani Kai? Why isn't she in the Hall of Fame? People talk about Rick Martel as they should, and Ken Shamrock as they should. But where the hell is Leilani Kai? She should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's right now. I would have already started booking for this. I would have started booking basically the stars of the Hall of Fame. But I have to choose also for each of those two nights what I would do. And I intend to have 7 match a night again. And there's some match I would keep exactly the same way it was, and some I would do modifications. I'm a guy who believes that titles should be on the line most times at WrestleMania. If not, at least have the champion present and wrestling at the show. Because if he's a champion is not present at the show or not wrestling at the show, he's basically absent for WrestleMania, like Julia or Tiffany Stratton this year at WrestleMania are tag team champions, then it's a joke. It's a complete joke. It's like you're basically saying you should basically merge a title. And honestly, that's maybe what I would do in terms of booking. Merge the women's IC and US championship together and the tag titles together. If you're gonna do like this, then have the World WWE IC US Unified Tag Team Women's title, SmackDown Women's Championship, Women's Tag, and Women's IC, and that should be it. But to me, that's very important that every title is represented. And at WrestleMania 20, all but one title were defended, and this time I would make sure that even that one will be defended. But it's also a showcase for stars of the Attitude Era giving back to the stars of the Ruthless Aggression O'Valley Wrestling stars. For that starter, WrestleMania 20 Night 1 would debut the same way in real life, with John Cena defeating Big Show for the US title. 1 year after doing the AA of Rikishi to shock the crowd, he does an even bigger feat of strength by delivering the AA to Big Show. For the World Tag Team titles, I would have basically had Booker T would have a short reign, but then they would lose the title to, I don't know, they would have kept it they would kept the titles and they could have lost to back to La Resistance, for example, or the Dudleys. But one way or another, there will be a Dudleys versus La Resistance versus Garrison Cate and Mark Jindrak and Lance Storm and Val Venus for tag titles. And I feel like keeping it, Dudley's wind up winning titles anyway. Why not keep the title against with the Dudleys anyway? Third match of the night in a face versus face match, Booker T versus RVD. Why not? A showcase of WWE versus WWE ECW. Both very good, excellent, and super excellent stars, very popular stars. And since Booker T already had his moment last year, I would have Booker T lose to RVD. RVD would win against Booker T. Fair and square to a 5-star frog splash. Fourth match of the night. It'd be Ric Flair and Batista. Randy Orton's not gonna be there, not gonna be there. He's not allowed to be there, even at ringside. It's Ric Flair and Batista to take on a face Rock and Hulk Hogan. Rock and Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair and Batista. We never have, even my booking, have triple Hulk Hogan against Ric Flair. We're gonna remedy this. You never had Rock against Ric Flair. You're gonna do this. Rock against Batista. Again, stars the Ruthless Aggression Attitude Era will give back to. Sorry, the stars the Attitude Era will give back to the Ruthless Aggression Era. So you have this there. And you have Hogan maybe set up with Batista, but the caveat is that special guest referee is the Macho Man Randy Savage. And given after last year in the history, pent up history with Hogan Savage, you don't know if he's going to be biased or not. Or you could basically screw the match in favor of Evolution's team until you realize that Savage has a long history with Ric Flair. He has a long history against Hogan. His two biggest rivals in his career are two opposite sides. So which one will he favor, or will he just be neutral? Because he has nothing against The Rock, really, or Batista. And this the one match on that WrestleMania 20 card that basically this, I would wonder why should have won. Do I basically favor Evolution? Or do I favor, in this case, the feel-good moment of Rock Hogan? And I felt like Hogan getting one last win at WrestleMania in Madison Square Garden, brother, might not be a bad idea. Besides, it's not going to hurt anybody. Batista wouldn't be pinned Ric Flair. And I want to have Triple A, basically, Savage will do player grow, but basically because of Ric Flair tries to cheat, inadvertently nailing Randy Savage, and Randy Savage would snap at the word, snapping into Slim Jim, oh yeah. And that's how basically it would help Rock and Hogan win the match. And to quell their beef, at least in storyline, finally have the mega power handshake at the end of the match. And that'd be the last that Savage will be in the ring. That'd be basically afterwards he officially retires. He retires a wrestler in that case at WrestleMania 19. But this, he wouldn't have any other appearance until his Hall of Fame induction. So yeah. And we'll make sure that Savage will actually be present. He basically did it before it's too late for Savage to be present. So yeah, that'd be my fourth match of the night. In the fifth match, we would have Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, but like WrestleMania 33, it'd be like basically a 4 or 5 minutes match. Goldberg wins. And Brock Lesnar would be accompanied by SmackDown GM Paul Heyman, whereas Goldberg is represented by Raw GM Eric Bischoff. And one way or another, since they're all leaving, by the end of the match, special guest referee Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah, 2 match with 2 referees, end up stunning everybody there. Then, in the penultimate match of night 1, you have Chavo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Paul London, Brian Kendrick, Jimmy Wang Yang, Tajiri, Nunzio, Kidman, Funaki, Ultimo Dragon, Shannon Moore, Jamie Noble, all of them. And was there somebody else? Trying to see if I basically forgot somebody else. Nope, I did not. I did not. And it would lead basically you have Chavo retain the title. Which reminds me, I forgot one thing, is basically in the World Tag Team title match before, it should have been Dudley's versus La Resistance, it's Caden Jindrak versus Lance Storm and Val Venus versus Hurricane and Rosie. And again, Dudley's keep the title. Actually, have Hurricane and Rosie win the World Tag Titles that night. Okay? So that'd be my correction. Night two would start with an Intercontinental title match. Randy Orton take on Mick Foley. This is where Evolution racks up the win, but it's not a no holds barred match. That would still be for Backlash. Orton wins. In the second match, you have Chris Jericho versus Christian. You keep it in real life. Christian wins. Then it'd be a SmackDown tag title match. You have Scotty 2 Hotty versus the world's greatest tag team versus the APA versus Bob Holly and Billy Gunn versus the Bashams. Again, Scotty 2 Hotty and the Rikishi wins. In the women's title match, you have Victoria defending the title against Molly Holly, Lita, and Gail Kim. Same stipulation. Whoever gets pinned as their head shaved, Molly gets pinned, she loses her hair. So yeah. And I just realized the main event of night one of WrestleMania, I forgot to mention it, would have been Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. Eddie wins. In the penultimate match, basically of night two, it's Undertaker versus Kane. Taker wins. And the world title match is as basic as it was. It'd be basically Triple H against Chris Benoit against Shawn Michaels. And Chris Benoit wins the title as it was before it. So, sorry, yeah, that would basically be my WrestleMania 20. So I'll just recap it because I wasn't in order. I made a mistake. So for US title, John Cena beats Big Show to win the title. For the World Tag Team titles, Hurricane and Rosie defeat the Dudleys, World Tag Team Champion Dudleys, La Resistance, Kane and Jindrak, and Lance Storm and Val Venis to win the World Tag Team titles. RVD beats Booker T. In the fourth match, The Rock and Hulk Hogan win against Ric Flair and Batista with Randy Savage special guest referee. The Mega Powers reunite at the end of the match and basically say goodbye because you're not going to see a Mega Powers in the same ring again. Then you have Goldberg beats Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes. Austin, special guest referee, stuns everybody afterwards. For the Cruiserweight title gauntlet, you could have basically you have Chavo retain, but it's confronted by Jackal in the end. NW title match, night one main event. Eddie Guerrero successfully defends title against Kurt Angle the same way he did in real life. In the night two opener, Randy Orton defends successfully his title against Mick Foley, whereas Chris Jericho loses to Christian. Third match of the evening for the SmackDown tag titles, Scott Hotty and Rikishi retain against World's Greatest Tag Team, APA, Bob Holly, and Billy Gunn, as well as the Bashams. Then for the women's title match, it's basically champion versus hair versus hair. Whoever gets pinned gets their head shaved. Victoria beats Molly Holly, Lita, and Gail Kim in order to keep the title, to win the title, to keep the title. When she pins Molly Holly then gets her head shaved. Then the penultimate match, you have Undertaker versus Kane. Undertaker wins. And the world title match, as usual, Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK. Benoit wins the world title by making Triple H tap out. And that will be WrestleMania 20 on both nights. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I'll see you guys later. Bye.